There we go. All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I am so excited to have both Jasmine and Sam here from Rocket Companies, who are going to share with us a little bit about their roles, especially their sales roles, because it is sales week at WGU. My name is Ezra, and I work in our WGU Career and Professional Development Office. And just a few housekeeping items as we get started. If you guys can stay on mute through the presentation, that would be super awesome. It just helps with any of the noise quality issues. So stay on mute. However, if you do have any questions or anything comes to mind, feel free to use the chat and drop those in. I will monitor the chat and we will have a Q&A portion at the end. If you want to wait until the end and ask your question, then you are welcome at that time. You can use that raise hand feature and I'll call on you. You can come off mute and we can kind of chat and have some discussion there. And then last but not least, at the end of the session, our team has a very, very short survey for feedback. It's 2 questions. I'm going to drop it in the chat. If you guys can complete that, that would help us. And I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you guys now. If you wanted to share your screen again and rock and roll.
Oh, shoot.
It went away for me, so sorry.
That's okay. All right, let me try this again. This is fun adventure we're on together. 1 second. I don't know how it stopped sharing. Sorry. I was just like over here ready to go. All right, let's see. How about now? Amazing.
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect. All right.
awesome. Let me hide this. I'm gonna move my chat over to the screen. All right, well, hello everyone. Thanks for joining the party. I know some of you are from all over. I did see Kristen put in the chat that she's from Florida last week. I was so tired of the cold in Michigan. I was like randomly Googling flights to Florida, like when can I just like get out of here? And thankfully it's warmer this week, but that's besides the point. I know Ezra did mention a couple housekeeping items. We also have a quick housekeeping item. I dropped a link in the chat for our attendance sheet for the day. So this just lets our Rocket team know who we had the opportunity to speak with and just who attended the session. So please make sure to fill this out. You can drop in your resume if possible. It's not an application. It's really just like an interest form and again, an attendance sheet for today's session. So just wanted to give that context. And then speaking of context, just want to give a little bit of context about what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to go over some great information about Rocket, who we are, what we do, and then Sam will jump in and specifically talk about our sales roles and what those look like at Rocket. So like Ezra mentioned, if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. You can write them down. You can raise your hand. We want this to be engaging and also, a conversation. So if you don't feel comfortable, raising your hand or asking a question throughout the PowerPoint or presentation, like I mentioned, we'll have time at the end to kind of chat. So we'll start and get it kicked off with some introductions. So let me get my computer warmed up over here. Perfect. All right, so I'm Jasmine Hines. I'm a senior talent relationship manager with Rocket, and I sit on our talent relations team. So my team, we really have 3 different arms. We have internship, full-time, and veteran recruiting and partnerships. And I really sit in the full-time space and help manage those full-time partnerships and career opportunities. I've been with the company for almost 5 years, so I've been rocking and rolling, and I'll toss it over to Sam to share a little bit more about himself.
Yes, I am a recruiter for our high volume sales role, so that is mortgage banking. I actually got my start at Rocket about 5 years ago as well, coming up this September, in mortgage banking. So who better to recruit for the position than somebody who's actually been there and done that before? That's just a little bit about myself.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, we'll get the party started with a quick video. So let me hit the next slide, and I don't think it'll play right away. But we recently rebranded. So I know we've given some presentations with WGU before, and we've shown up as Rocket Companies, sometimes even Rocket Mortgage. But we recently rebranded over the Super Bowl weekend to Rocket. So I want to dive into that a little bit deeper. In a couple more slides, we'll show some visuals of those brands and just give some more clarity. But want to share this Super Bowl commercial that we launched in when we essentially publicly announced this new brand. So just a little bit of a warning, it does pull on the heartstrings a little bit, and you might have this song stuck in your head for the rest of the day. So sorry in advance, because that was me after we launched our Super Bowl commercial. So I'm going to hit play, and if you can't hear it, please let me know, and I'll make sure we send the links out. But I think I shared my screen properly, so we'll see. Oh, okay. Well, sorry guys, I can't read. I just saw that everyone said I don't hear the audio. I'm over here just soaking up the entire video because I can hear the audio. I'm so sorry. All right. Well, I just had my moment. Sorry. I'll make sure we share the video out with you guys, but I was locked into that. All right. I've only seen it like 100 times already. Um, okay. Well, if you did see the Super Bowl, hopefully you saw that commercial, but if not, we'll share it out with you guys. Um, and then you will have that song stuck in your head that you couldn't hear. It's fine. All right. Well, anyways, I'm going to dive more into our new brand and just give some more context about Rocket because I know we have had a couple different brands over the last 5 to 10 years, but we've really landed on this Rocket brand. So really want to share more about who we are. So we're headquartered in Detroit, Michigan. We also have offices in Cleveland, Ohio, Phoenix, Arizona, and other locations. We have about 14,000 team members that work across these different locations and across the country. But that mortgage side of the business is the core of who we are. So that Rocket Mortgage brand, which most of you are probably most familiar with, that Rocket Mortgage brand is really the heartbeat of our company. We're America's #1 mortgage lender, and ultimately we help Americans fulfill that American dream of buying a home or refinancing their home. We are actually the first mortgage lender to bring the mortgage process completely online, and we've been in the mortgage industry for almost 40 years. So we'll be coming up on our 40-year anniversary this year, which is really exciting. But over the last 40 years, we've really just tried to push this mission of helping everyone home. And I know I've talked a lot about the mortgage side of the business, but we're also involved in a lot of other industries as well. So yes, mortgages, but fintech, real estate, automotive, sports, media, and much more. So I'm going to show a visual on the next slide of some of our brands. So you'll see that new logo. So historically we've had, we called it like a Rocket O, and now we have a Rocket Halo. It looks just a little bit different, and our color scheme is a little bit like brighter red. And we have some other colors in the mix too, but that's besides the point. Here's some of those brands that I talked about. So Rocket Mortgage in the top left, that's our flagship business. Definitely, our most dominant brand, but we have some other ones listed out here. We also have some other brands that aren't shown on this slide. We actually have a whole portfolio of companies. We have over 100 companies in this portfolio that are super diverse from a lot of different industries. So like the Cleveland Cavaliers are in our portfolio, dictionary.com, thesaurus.com, StockX. I love sneakers, so that's like one of my favorites. Actually, they sell Stanleys too. I just got this Stanley off StockX. It's so cute, right? So yeah, lots of different brands, and they're all connected by our founder and chairman, Dan Gilbert. So um, we also just recently acquired Redfin. I don't know if anyone on the call is familiar with Redfin. But that was a huge acquisition in the last week or so that we added to our portfolio. It's really similar to like Zillow in the way that they operate. So we're excited to add that to into the mix, but want to specifically hone in on one of the brands on the slide, which is Rocket Money. So just want to talk a little bit more about this one because with our Rocket Mortgage brand, we realize not everyone's looking to like buy a home, and hopefully that's a goal for everyone someday. But with Rocket Money, this is like one of our products or services that you can leverage right now. So has anyone on the call heard of Rocket Money? Does anyone have it? Ah, perfect. Kristen, your mom asked you about it last week. Okay, well, mom knows best. You need to download it if you haven't. Um, but with Rocket Money, it's formerly known as Truebill, so some people still like kind of call it Truebill, I've heard. Um, but with this, it just essentially helps you like manage your financial life. It finds and tracks your different subscriptions. It helps you figure out where you're like spending money. It empowers you to save more, spend less. So, for example, I know with today's day and age, it's really easy to like use the tap to pay, or maybe that's just me, but I feel like I never have cash and I'm always just like tapping my card or even my phone. And then by like the end of the week, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I spend like $500 on Amazon? So this app will really help you like track your spending and again help you manage your financial life. So maybe you can like cut back on a couple areas. Um, so really, really helpful. If you haven't downloaded it, definitely get it from the App Store and check it out. All right, so now I want to pivot and talk about some of our awards we've received that we're really proud of. So we've been recognized by Fortune magazine, Forbes magazine, People magazine for being, one of the best when it comes to places to work for, companies that care, employers for diversity, one of the best workplaces for millennials. Um, and these are just really a reflection of things that are important to us. So just wanted to call those out and just really, make it known that Rocket's culture, the team members and communities are really what make achievements like this possible. So, speaking of company culture, want to hone in on our isms because they're a big part of who we are, what we do, but really how we do it. So our isms define our company culture. And I feel like our company culture is something that's like consistently talked about, not just internally, but externally, and just how unique it is. And I think it's so unique because of these isms. So a lot of companies will have mission statements, values, but our isms are really what drive our culture. They're really just simple sayings and philosophies that we live and breathe by here at Rocket. So again, there's 16 of them. They're easy to understand. You don't have to be a team member to understand them, but they really remind us of what's important. And again, I believe that's what helps set us apart. So um, I'm going to show a visual on the next slide, but also just want to call out like our isms are so important to us that we actually put on what we call Isms Day for all new team members. So it's a half day event that's dedicated to like just learning more about these isms, how they're defined, how they're seen in the workplace, how you can leverage them. So I'll show you what they look like on this slide. So I'm going to tap on Sam to share which one of these 16 is his favorite.
And there's been tons of improvement over the years that we've had these isms, so it's really exciting. I was actually looking for one in particular that we might have upgraded or kind of revamped. So I actually went with "We'll figure it out." So that is just a philosophy that we live by at Rocket. When you don't have the answer to something, you don't have to get stopped in your tracks. You can keep, moving ahead and things will work themselves out. So that's what "we'll figure it out" means to me. And that's been pivotal in my career. Without that, I don't know if I'd be where I am today. So.
Absolutely. I feel like life is just a process of figuring it out, or maybe that's just me, but it's fine. Does anyone have any questions on these 16 or any comments? Because I think they're fun. Like, can anyone relate to any of these or feel like they have a specific experience? If not, that's okay. Okay, okay. All right, well, I'll just keep it moving. Okay, just kidding. I really want to talk about this one because we always get a question on it, but no one asked the question today, so I'll just pretend like someone did. But in like the left side of the screen, one of our isms is we eat our own dog food, and we always get a question on this. People are like, "This is weird. Like, what are you guys talking about?" We're like, "Okay, we don't eat dog food," but I know I mentioned that we have like this collection of diverse companies. Um, so when we say we eat our own dog food, it's really just tying threads and leveraging those ideas and connections within Rocket first before going like external. So an example could be we have an internal like clothing company called Threads, and they provide all of our swag and accessories for team members. They even have like Detroit lines. I actually just guys, I just bought a shirt yesterday. One second. I really didn't plan this, I swear, but it's sitting on my floor, so I have to show you. Hold on, I have a headset on. This is really challenging. Um, okay. You know, the weather has been like up and down, but they just have shirts like this. So it's a long sleeve Rocket shirt, but and it's like Rocket branded, but it comes from our Threads line. I'll wash that later. And I just say that to say is there's sometimes where we do have to go like external and use an external vendor to create like a specific ask. But if we can go through an internal vendor first, we want to do that to support our own brands. Um, and sometimes that does happen with like big events where, you know, we need like specific swag that's like not just like pens or journals, which Threads can create. We need like more, maybe even like creative or different things that we haven't used before. So we'll go to a different like vendor to get that stuff before. Um, or we'll go to them after we go to Threads and see if they can fulfill that ask. So um, I know no one asked for that, but I just wanted to share that anyways. So we'll move on to the next slide. And unfortunately, but fortunately, it is a video. And I know last time I was really the only one entertained by the video, so I will share the link with Ezra and she will share it out with you guys. So we'll just keep it moving. But it is a really cool video. I'll just give like a little spoiler alert. It's surrounding our all company meetings. We call it ACM. We have one annually where we bring all 14,000 of our team members into the city of Detroit to experience this. And this past year, it was really cool. We actually had a sneak peek of our Super Bowl commercial and like our new brand launch and everything. So we had to keep our lips sealed for a little bit until they actually launched it at the Super Bowl. But we also had some really cool performers that come in. Um, we brought in Diplo, who's like a really famous DJ, and then we also brought in Lil Wayne to like perform at our all company meeting. So I think that just speaks to our company culture. But it was kind of different. It was like 2 p.m. and we were all like raging to like Lil Wayne and Diplo, but it's fine. We had a great time and it was super fun. So the video just gives some insight into that and just kind of how we operate at Rocket. So definitely want to make sure you guys get that and check it out after. So stay tuned. Um, but just speaking of things that are like important to us, I know we've talked a lot about our culture, but want to hone in on our for more than profit vision. So I think, you know, I've shared that we've reached a lot of success as a company, and we want to, and that's important to us. But it's also important to us to extend our reach outside of our four walls, outside of our shiny buildings, and make a difference in our communities and the people in them as well. So in the last 10 plus years, we've contributed over $200 million to community organizations and programming. All of our team members have volunteered more than 400,000 hours in Detroit and over 1 million volunteer hours nationwide in their local communities, which is huge. And it's pretty cool because we all get volunteer time allotted to us as team members. So we can take paid time off to volunteer and extend ourselves into our local communities, which I think is a really unique benefit of Rocket. And just some other things we do in our communities. We partner with the Detroit Refugee Network and a local nonprofit called Samaritas to help recently arrived refugees just kind of navigate that fresh start in all things housing, employment, education, legal services, and much more. We're also committed to ending veteran homelessness in our communities by supporting the Built for Zero initiative. And one of my favorite more than profit benefits that we do is Venture 313. So we host this annual competition that infuses, or it has infused over $10 million to existing Detroit businesses. So I don't know if anyone's watched Shark Tank, but it's run really similar to Shark Tank. So companies come in and they pitch why they should receive money from us, and we give or invest money into the top companies of this competition. So again, it's just a fun way to give back. It's not just like writing a check and handing it over. It's like getting involved and really investing in and people and the people in our communities and helping build up those communities through entrepreneurship and just local businesses. And then one more way that we give back is through the Rocket Classic. So this happens typically in July every year, but it's an annual golf tournament held in Detroit that raises almost $3 million for nonprofits. So again, just some really fun ways that we give back. All right, we'll want to switch gears and talk about some of our perks and benefits as a Rocket team member. And first, just want to call out that our benefits package, with that, like we offer that to all team members. So like top of the line health benefits, and even our interns are eligible to receive these benefits during their internship program, which is a little bit unique, I think. So like health, dental, vision, like they have access to all of those. And then just speaking of wellness, we have an amazing wellness program at Rocket. It's called the Rock Health Collective. So it's literally a health collective just for Rocket team members. So if you're not a Rocket team member, you can't come. Um, but it's really awesome because we have our own primary care physicians, we have our own urgent care, we have a full service pharmacy, physical therapists, chiropractors, and not just physical health services. We also offer like mental health services too. We get I believe it's 6 free therapy sessions a year, which is huge because, guys, that stuff is really expensive when you're not on your parents' insurance. I learned that very quickly after I turned 26. So it's a great benefit. Um, and then also want to talk about some of the PTO that we offer. I know I mentioned the volunteer time that we get, but we also get paid time off for professional development because development is very important to us at Rocket. We really want to help our team members develop and hone in on skills of their choice. So they have paid time off to do that. We also give our team members personal significance days. So these are 2 extra days, paid time off every single year for whatever is significant to you. So we all celebrate different things, maybe different holidays. Maybe you're a birthday person, maybe you're not. You can take these 2 days for whatever you feel is significant to you, which is pretty unique. And then another awesome benefit at Rocket is our Rocket Academy Education Benefit Program. So this program offers tuition reimbursement. So if you're looking to further your education, I know you're probably like, Jasmine, I don't even want to think about more school, but if you do, we will help you with that journey. We partner with a catalog of universities like WGU. They're in our Rocket Academy. We love them. And so we partner with a whole catalog of universities, in-state, out-of-state. I would say a lot of them are online. You can tap into these different universities and their different education benefits. So wanted to call that out and then also want to hone in on our TMRNs. So we have an acronym for everything at Rocket, just want to lead with that. But that stands for our team member resource networks because we really strive to provide an inclusive environment for every team member. So we created these 13 team member led groups that really help team members feel included and accepted based on a variety of things. So, their background, their ethnicity, their race, there's a ton of factors, but they're essentially team member communities where team members can come together and speak on topics that are important to them. They can network, they can resource share. There's a ton of events that they put on. There's mentoring opportunities, development events and opportunities. And the cool thing is all team members can join these because they're ultimately created to educate, develop, and help one another better understand each other. So for example, I have a veteran team member on my team. We actually have a handful like on our larger team. I was not a veteran. I have family, friends who have served, but I joined our veteran network just to attend some of the events, better understand maybe some of the challenges or things that are important to them or just things that I maybe didn't really understand the full scope of prior to, coming to Rocket. So yeah, it's just been a really cool opportunity to kind of lean into some of those spaces and better support some of our team members. So that's just one example, but we have a lot of different ones. There's like the professional women's network. There's the Asian network. There's the Middle Eastern collective. And then want to pivot quick and talk about one more thing, our hybrid schedule. I know I was kind of blabbing about this before the PowerPoint kicked off, but we are currently operating in a hybrid working environment. So there's certain days that we work in office, certain days that we work from home. For my team, we currently are in the office on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then we work from home the latter part of the week. but just wanted to give some insight into my team. Some teams will be in office 2 days a week, some 3 days a week, some can be completely remote and have flexibility for that. So it really just depends. I will say for our internship program for the summer, it is really not a virtual opportunity unless it is outside of that summer season. But we can talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. Because I want to cover our internships quickly before we toss it over to Sam to talk about sales. So want to highlight our internship program really quick because we have a really robust internship program. We bring in about 400 interns per year, but again, the bulk of our interns come in for that summer internship program, and that summer program runs from May to August, so about 3 months long, again, in that hybrid working environment for the course of the summer. So certain days that our interns are in office, certain days that they'll work from home. But the cool thing about our internship program is we have this awesome benefit where we fully pay for the housing for our interns for the summer season. So you can come live, work, and play in the city of Detroit at no cost to you. You don't have to like sleep in your car, sleep on someone's couch. You get to live at one of our local universities like housing, and it's actually really really nice. We got to tour them last year, and I was like, wow, like can I move in here? And will they pay for my housing? It was a no, but it was worth an ask. But we also offer fall internships and winter or spring internships as well. And they're open to all education levels and all majors. So not just opportunities in sales and mortgage banking, but HR, technology, marketing, and all of these internship opportunities are paid. So I want to call that out. But through this internship program, and honestly, which like being a team member in general, like you have the opportunity to work with team members of all levels and all locations. So you can work with other interns, maybe entry-level team members, senior leaders, like C-suite level leaders. And during your internship, you're not just doing like busy work where it's like you're filing things or answering phones. Like we want you to get like valuable hands-on experience and do some of the same work as full-time team members. Because ultimately our goal is to help our interns develop hard and soft skills that will really help you further your career and get more clarity and direction on like where you want to go and what you want to do. So I've talked enough, but I will toss it over to Sam to talk about our full-time opportunities and specifically honing in on sales because it's sales week. So I will hit the next slide and give it to my lovely team member.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. Looking at your sales journey and sales careers here, as you start to figure out if it's for you, I wanted to look, at what it takes to start really a career at Rocket in sales. And there's a lot of different areas, where you could find yourself selling. The big flagship um, area would be Rocket Mortgage, selling mortgages to our clients, right? But we also have roles in real estate, automotive, solar, and we're growing all the time. So, we've seen obviously different brands and transitions, and we've brought on and bought different companies over the years as well. So that list could always be growing and changing, which is exciting. But the couple of things I want to talk about you with first is who we're looking for. So an ambitious self-starter, the big thing I think of is the effort and attitude. So those soft skills that we can't really like teach you, those are things that you'll probably want to have on your own coming into a sales career to find success. We'll help cover all the other hard skills, the selling, the tech, all that good stuff. We'll teach it to you. We're very good at teaching it. So really bringing the effort and the attitude is the first thing. We do have paid training. Now, I like to break this down when I'm explaining the role in 3 different stages. The first stage, you are studying to get your federal license. So you have to actually study for what's called the SAFE exam. Now that is a very challenging test, but the nice thing with Rocket is that is your sole focus for your first month of training. You're not performing a separate duty or role in the meantime while you're studying. Your sole focus is to study and pass that test, right? It is challenging, so you got to take it seriously, but considering you did and put forth your best effort and passed it, the second area of the training is what I call the foundation. So you're really just building the tools that you're going to be using in banking, which is learning the technology, is getting your state licensing, it is learning the sales process. So you're getting really exposure to all of the tools you're going to be using going forward in this role. And then finally, um, we have the last stage of training, which is what I call the soft start to banking. So you are doing the role of the mortgage banker. You're just kind of introducing one step at a time until you get to the point where you're doing the full process start to finish. So big things here is with the paid training, all that's going to be covered, the licensing, the state licensing, the testing, the sponsorship for the years after. You know, we're going to continue to keep you licensed your whole career at Rocket, so you never even have to think about it. Um, the best part, in my opinion, is the consistent lead flow. So there's really three places we get our lead flow from. Returning clients, so that's somebody who has the mortgage with Rocket already, right? Super easy for them just to come back and make a return transaction. One of the simplest things they'll do with their home financing. Uh, Third party leads. So that's like when you go on Google, you look up mortgage rates, you might fill out your information to get a little bit back. So that would be like how we capture our third party leads. And then the final way, which is really exciting, is a direct applicant. Somebody who either goes on rocket.com to find a home or somebody who goes right to Rocket Mortgage. They already have their home picked out or they're already living there and they're just applying for the actual financing side. So those are like the three places we really get our leads from. Uh, the earning potential has no cap. You know, so this is really unique. There is a lot of places where, you know, you do have a limit to how hard you can push and how much you can make. You know, we don't want to put any kind of parameters on your effort. So we don't have any kind of cap or limit to what you can make. So it is really exciting. First year average for somebody just getting started, and this includes even the 4 months or so you're in training, is making around 79,000. By your second year, that number goes up to 106,000. So take in consideration, that is the average. So you do have the top people making even more than that, which is really exciting. All right, Jasmine, if you could go to the next slide for me. Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm sorry. I forgot to talk about the growth opportunities. So whether you wanted to stay producing as a banker for your whole career at Rocket or whether you wanted to go into leadership, there is a ton of different areas for growth. So in banking, you start out as a, intro banker. That's kind of while you're in the training, getting everything figured out. You would then go and get promoted to a senior banker. After that is executive banker, president's club banker, and finally triple crown. And then there's even a small list of accolades on top of that triple crown. Each one comes with a nice bump to your base pay and a nice little bump to the commission that you're earning as well. On the other side of things, we have leadership. So you would start out as like a foundational director. So that's kind of the director who's leading that newer banker that's still going through the training. Then to a director, senior director, regional vice president. So they're running, a whole entire site within your building, all the way up to the senior vice president, who's in charge of pretty much one of the three major sites that we run. So Detroit, Michigan, Cleveland, Ohio, and Phoenix, Arizona. All right, if you go to the next slide for me. So it's a very challenging role. So I want to make sure you know if it's a good fit for you. So if you are, extremely competitive, that would be a first telltale sign that this would be for you. And you have to be comfortable with competition. It's very friendly competition, so don't be frightened by it. But like we do, hold on one moment. We do share our like stats for your production throughout the site with all of the bankers, right? It's called a stack rank, so it lets you see how you're stacking up against your competition. To some, that might sound scary. To others, it's perfect because you're going to see your name at the top consistently. But the nice thing about it is if you're not at the top, it gives you that room to go to the person there that's doing really well and kind of pick their brain and see what they're doing and how you can change your business or how you're, conducting your calls in order to get to the top. The next thing is if you're eager to learn. Like we kind of covered, the training is about 4 months. There's a ton of information and acronyms when it comes to the mortgage world. So there's a lot to take in. And as you progress throughout your career, whether you're here for 5, 10, 15, 20, or 20 plus years, there's always going to be something to learn. The market's always changing, and there's new, methods to find success all the time. So eagerness to learn is a big one. Um, if you're ambitious with your goals, and you might be thinking, well, does that mean I just set the bar higher for myself? And we had a leader a while back say, if people don't doubt that you'll be able to accomplish your goal, you might not be setting an ambitious of a goal. So that's a big one. But if you can say yes to any of those or all of them, then mortgage banking might be perfect for you. Um, to give you guys an idea here, it says what you'll do. I break it down to 4 simple steps. And this does follow a lot of sales processes, but the first thing you're doing is understanding your client's goal and starting to build rapport and introduce yourself to them. Because if you don't know their goal, you don't know why they're on the phone in the first place. And that's the whole reason why you're there, to support them and to accomplish their goal. The second thing you need to know is their qualifications. With a mortgage and other things like car loans and whatnot, you do need to qualify. So you have to really dig deep on your client's finances, income, assets, credit. Knowing those things is also going to help build rapport, because you're going to be able to show your expert level knowledge, and make suggestions as you progress through the call. Finally, now that you have the full picture, right, you have what they want and what they can get or qualify for. Now it's time to price out the loan and actually present it to them and show them, your professional recommendation. And then myself, being in sales for here at Rocket for 3.5 years, my favorite part of our process is the 4th step, which is closing for the business. So this is where you find out, did you do a good job on the call? Were you really listening and finding their true objections throughout the call and stopping them before they even come up sometimes, if you're really good, getting ahead of them. And if they, trust you with their largest asset in many cases, in Rocket, of course. So that is our sales process. If you could go to the next slide for me. Oh, look who it is. Jasmine. All right. So the minimum qualifications, pretty straightforward here. You obviously have to have strong verbal communication skills. The role is talking on the phone almost 95% of the time. There's a small percentage where you might actually meet a client. It happens very rarely, but it can happen. Ability to remain competitive and coachable. You're going to be in a very fast-paced environment. You're going to hear no a lot more than you will yes in pretty much any sales career. So staying positive, being able to take coaching and implement it quickly would be huge for any sales career, especially here at Rocket. And then obviously desire to take things to the next level, right? Like always looking at that next promotion, what you need to get there, keeping all that in the back of your mind. And then we do have some preferred qualifications there as well. One thing I want to point out that you're probably not seeing, there's no specific degree, certificate, or anything that's going to make you more qualified than another. And that's when I go back to the soft skills, right? Effort and attitude are really the biggest determinations of success in a career at Rocket, because we'll teach you everything else you need to know about the sales process. So those intangibles, or those soft skills, are just absolutely a must. If you could go to the next slide for me. Thank you, thank you. All right, so a couple of the perks, we did talk about a few of these, but the competitive compensation package, so that includes a base salary, which is very unique to be coupled with uncapped commission. Usually you got to look at the trade-offs, either a, mid-range salary with very small commission potential, or uncapped commission potential with no salary, 100% commission. So the beautiful thing with Rocket is we're going to support you through the good and the bad. And so there is a base salary along with the commission that is uncapped. And then we do, like we talked about, we have benefits that all kick in day one: 401k, medical, dental, vision, all the PTO. I'm going to actually list a few for you guys that are my favorite. So the personal significance days are huge. Those are really nice. You can submit for them and you can get time off it almost immediately approved, no questions asked. So that's nice if you have something come up or unexpected. The 4 weeks PTO, it's ridiculously outrage or generous of the company. You don't really find that much PTO around, so it's something to take advantage of. And it goes along with the role, right? It's a very tough role, so we want to make sure you're rewarded with benefits outside of just the pay. Um, Competing for tickets. This was not listed here, but that is a huge one. So we obviously own the Rocket Arena, and there's all kinds of different concerts, sporting events, you name it. And so you often compete for tickets, but you can also just request them, because we don't want to have that go unused. So if there's tickets available and you request them, they'll go right to you. So it's very cool. And then the other volunteering events, so you actually get like certain hours designated to go volunteer and outreach in your community. And one of the cool ones that I did is a little bit different. It wasn't like a direct like volunteering in like a soup kitchen or a food bank, but I went and volunteered at the Mortgage Classic, and I got to stand about like this far from like Rory McIlroy, one of my golf heroes. I'll never be that good, but I can always dream. But that was like the coolest thing for me when it comes to the perks and all the little things that you don't get to think of when we list them all out for you. So, all right. Does I think that is the conclusion of the slide. So does anybody have any questions for us? Anything they're curious about or we didn't get a chance to answer in the chat?
Yeah, Sam, it looks like, who was it? Sorry, I've just been typing it up in the chat, but Benjamin had a question. He said, is there an incentive for top performers to coach other bankers?
As far as an incentive, really that's just the kind of culture we foster and facilitate is a very open and sharing environment. So we're always trying to give feedback and get feedback because we look at it as like a gift. So I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not sure if we have anything outside of like our MATE program, which is like a reward system where you build points over time and you can convert those points into cool prizes from like, every store you could imagine. Best Buy, Starbucks, it can be a gift card or an actual product. But our Maze platform is usually how we recognize like somebody going above their actual details of their job to help somebody out.
Yeah. And I feel like
Uh-huh.
there's also like mentoring opportunities. When you like are a newer team member, you are assigned like a mentor on your team, sometimes even a mentor outside of your team to help you, like navigate this new space. But there's a leadership program, I forgot what it's called, that you can like enter into in banking. Um, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's essentially to like if you're like, hey, I want to become a leader someday, I want to learn more about what leadership looks like. You can join it, and I know it's really specific to like the mortgage banking space, but I cannot remember the specific name of it. I know it has changed over the years, but that's a really cool program. It basically like coaches you in like leadership and how to level up your skill sets. So that's a really cool opportunity. Looks like Rome has a question. What are the chances of a full remote position? That sounds like a great position and company. And I think I put this more toward the top, but I know historically, once you reach, I can't remember if it was like President's Club or Triple Crown, that you did have the opportunity to work remote. Sam, can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, of course. So once you hit President's Club, which is like the second from the top, you're able to work more days from home. I think like you're only really required to come in office for like big events where we might have like a vice president from a different site coming to join us or the CEO making a walkthrough.
Mhm.
So besides those days, you're pretty much clear to work from home. Once you hit Triple Crown, that is taken to the next level. So you've essentially proven your sales pedigree to the point where you're not required to work a weekend if one is scheduled. You don't ever really have to come into the office. and you're not really having to put in as many hours banking to find the same success as when you started. That is a big theme as well. But yeah, as far as remote positions go, we used to have remote banking positions during COVID. Now that that is not a huge area of concern, being at home, we don't really post, I believe, any remote banking positions anymore. They just don't exist, unfortunately.
Perfect. And then Benjamin had a question. What's the highest position a new hire can land?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because obviously we have kind of like this big structure for growth, but the cool thing is we all start out as introduction bankers. Whether you have 10 plus years of sales experience or not, we all start into that intro banker level. But the really cool thing is, and this is a very recent change, so we're always getting feedback from our team members about how we can improve. So we actually recently shortened our training from 6 months down to 4. And another thing we did on the actual tenured banking side is we shortened the track and eliminated tenure requirements for these positions. Because prior to that, you had to be in banking for a year before you could hit senior. And I think like President's Club and Triple Crown took around 4 years of tenure to get to. But now, if you're absolutely crushing it, you could make President's Club within like a year, year and a half, realistically. So we've kind of eliminated that wait time in a different, in a certain title in order to make it to the next one. So we've shortened that process.
Right. And honestly, I feel like we've had interns, like one of our interns, Dan Nagoy, he's now, he was the chief operating officer of one of our companies. So it's like if you put in the work and you prove yourself, like you could go from intern to like a COO of one of our companies. And I think he's been at the company for like less than 10 years, which is quite a career trek. So essentially, like the sky is the limit here. And I think that's one of the coolest things about being at Rocket. Like I think I mentioned, I've been here for 5 years, and I've been promoted 4 times. And I don't say that to like brag. I just say like I was an associate recruiter to a recruiter to university recruiting, and then now I'm in like the talent partnership space. So I think the coolest thing is like they want to know your goals, they want to know where you want to end up, and they want to help you get there. And the role I'm in now, like this wasn't essentially a goal for me, but I knew I wanted like some type of change. And they literally created this position where they're like, hey, like we have a need in this space. Like, do you want to own this and like lead it? And I was like, sure, let's do it. So I just said it to say is they really want to leverage like your skill sets and the places where you thrive to help move the business forward, and then also like challenge you along the way and help you continue to build your skill set. Um, so just want to call that out because I think Sam did a great job, but there's just a lot of opportunity here in general. Oh, sorry, Rome, we're not in Pensacola yet, but I'll put in a note. We actually have it's called the Cheese Factory. We have a website where we can like put in suggestions for the business. So it could be anything from like a parking suggestion to like a business suggestion to like, hey, can you guys put in a cafeteria? Like that'd be really great. Just like literally anything we can put in this place called the Cheese Factory. So I'll put in a Cheese Factory request for you, Pensacola. Got you.
Well, others think of maybe more questions. I had one,
Yeah.
Sam or Jasmine. How are your mortgage bankers based on like regional areas, territories? Are they selling, or is it kind of like just whatever leads you're getting in that moment? How does that work? Because I know every company does a little bit differently in terms of sales, but usually it's like location bound. So how does that work?
Go ahead, Sam.
Yes. So when you get your SAFE exam passed, you're federally licensed. But since we're not like a bank, and this is all stuff you learn during that SAFE exam, we actually have to hold state licenses as well. So during that second stage of training, what I call the foundation, we set you up with 10 to 13 different states for your first year that you get licensed in. It's all based around the demand of the market at that current time. But some of like the big states, Texas, California, and there's a few other like really big states, but those are the two that stand out to me. we get almost everybody licensed in, including your home state too. So if you're in Michigan, you'll get Michigan. If you're in Ohio, you'll get Ohio. Arizona, you'll get Arizona. And then the calls are inbounded. So we have what's called a call block. So it's like an hour window where you get to turn on your receiver basically to take calls. And then as they come through, depending on what state you're licensed in and how long you've been what we call autoed in, you'll get priority based on how long you've been autoed in. You'll get that first call to come through for whichever state you're licensed.
It's pretty cool. Thank you. Sorry, I was always curious
No, yeah,
how that
that's a good
worked.
question. Yep. And I will drop 3 different links in the chat because we really hire in our 3 main markets for sales. So
Oh,
work out of one of those 3 office locations. So I dropped those in the chat for you.
you
Oh,
cut
I'm
out just
sorry.
for a split second there.
Oh, I was just saying I dropped some links in the chat in case you guys are interested in becoming a mortgage banker at one of our 3 locations. And then, like Sam mentioned, you can also get licensed outside of just like that local market or that state. But that's where you got to start. All right. You're welcome, Rome. We appreciate everyone's time. Any last burning questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or come off mute. And if not, that's okay. But we're just here to be resources for you. And speaking of resources, I will again share those videos with Ezra, and I'll also just make sure to reshare the different links I dropped in the chat so you guys can learn a little bit more about Rocket and sales at your own pace.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry for my voice, but I live in California, and I know Arizona is not that far. And then you're talking about hybrid and going to the office maybe 2 to 3 days out of the week. I have family that live out there. Can I live in California and still be employed in the Arizona area?
So, we've seen a lot of things over the years, as far as like different commute times, trying to make like a certain living situation work. And what we found over time is that unless you're within about 50 miles or about an hour-long commute from said office, it typically won't be to your benefit because of how many hours are required to make and find success early on in the career. We just find it's not copacetic with making those commutes and traveling and accommodations just to work the role. So yeah, typically if we're like looking over a resume and we see like, hey, you're far outside of one of our 3 locations, typically we won't reach out just because it's not going to be to your benefit. It's going to put you in a really tough position. Even though you might be great at handling tough things, that we've just seen it too many times where it hasn't worked out for folks.
Thank you.
Great question.
And while we wait for
Right.
more questions, I am also in the chat going to add in our little survey. It's again really
Absolutely.
2 questions for students, just to share your feedback with our careers team here at WGU.
Awesome. Perfect.
Oops, if that works. There we go. And then thank you both so much for your time today. This
Yeah.
was so informative, and I personally, and maybe that's why I'm doing the job I'm doing, but I love learning about all of these different
Ah,
careers and things you can do. And I think Rocket has so many great perks. And I will say, like, I visited that office in Detroit, and it is not a bad place to work from, let
yeah.
me tell you. So
Yes.
so many cool perks and such a great culture. So thank you both for
Absolutely.
joining us today. Any
Yes,
other
yes.
last minute questions? Otherwise, I will stop recording.